Good evening, Healing Journey. We want to welcome you to another learning journey where we come to inform, educate, support you on your emotions and everything along this learning journey. We're so glad to be with you, and we thank God that we're with you this evening because, here in Florida, He calmed the oceans, He calmed the sea. That
Yes.
storm went a different direction. So we just give Him all the honor and praise this evening for what He has done. So, as we open up this evening, we just want to thank you all who support us, who support our endeavors, who support the work that we're doing here in the community. It's not easy, and we were assigned this work. Believe me, at this part in our life, we did not want to do it, but God put this purpose in our hearts. So
Yes.
we're doing it because we're on the journey with you and we understand what you're going through. So we're here to support you. Lee, welcome. So glad you could be with us tonight.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. And thank you for that intro that you gave, because it was very different for us when what was different for me. And I know it was different from you when we first started too. We didn't have this type of support. So we want to be there for those that came after us. So we're kind of reaching back to pick up where we can and stuff. But I'm so thankful for being here, and we thank each and every one of you for joining your healing journey, your learning journey tonight. You could have chose many other places to be, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate your being here. We call you our friends, and because of that, we call you our friends because that's what you are, our friends on the journey. And we welcome you to August. It's August 2024. We also encourage you to visit our website, www.ourlessonslearned.org. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, which means we are supported by your donations. And if you feel within your heart, please give and go to our website and support us. And we thank you for all your support and for your continued support. And I'm a professional beggar, so you really don't want me to come out of my bag if you want to support us, because you don't want me to make phone calls in the middle of the night to your home. So support us where you can. But more importantly, if you know of someone who's in need of our services, please have them give us a call at our 407-720-8761 number. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yes, thank you, Lee. Lee hits on all the particulars that I forget about, and we thank you. And yes, she's a professional beggar. You must have gone to my daddy's church, okay? They said he could get that money out of that stone. But anyway, we thank you tonight. And tonight we want to talk about emotional awareness. So I have invited my good friend, licensed mental health counselor, Jean Ann Moses, to be a part. She's been in my life a long time, and we're under that psychology umbrella together, and we all like to just toss around with Lee, and we all toss around a lot of emotions that are stirring up on this journey and different things that we're going through. So, Jean Ann, welcome tonight to the Learning Journey, sponsored by Our Lessons Learned and the Healing Journey. We call it the learning journey because it's so much to learn. Emotionally, we're getting in touch with emotions that are displayed that we don't even know how to regulate sometimes. So, if you can talk a little bit about certain emotions, like how to regulate certain emotions, emotional regulation. Sometimes it's kind of hard when there's anger, and a lot of loved ones, they go through a lot of different emotions, such as anger, such as depression, anxiety.
Yeah.
What do you suggest is a good way to regulate some of those emotions and to get in touch with some of those emotions?
Okay, I'm going to start a little bit. My name is Jean Ann. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. My specialty is grief and trauma. And a lot of times we go straight to trauma and want to regulate when we've never grieved.
Mhm.
And so oftentimes where I deal as a therapist, it's when you've never grieved, you can never get to the heart of your trauma. So you've lost a child to incarceration or your spouse or whatever, and people want you to feel good and stop, don't cry, stop, it's okay, it's okay. You have to weep. You have to grieve that loss. Your family is separated.
Mhm.
Your life, you have a new normal to grieve because what you thought it was going to look like, it doesn't. That brokenheartedness that we pretend that never took place, and we just want to walk straight into a space and just tell you to forget about it, you haven't. As mothers, how often have you really grieved? I'm talking about because that person is still alive and you can't touch the way you need to
Mhm.
touch. That's flesh of your flesh, right? The fathers, the husbands, the father of your children. Like, imagine you continue going and you're operating at 900 because you don't want to stop and think. And so the depression does set in and the anxiety because you haven't allowed yourself time to weep.
That's
It
true.
is a death. It's
Mhm.
the death of your life.
Mhm.
So we can talk about trauma all day because that's what we do. But you need to learn how to grieve your loss.
Yes.
You need to learn how to grieve your broken heart because that's when the repairing happens. You need to learn how to forgive yourself because that's what you have to do in grief, right? Because as a parent or as a wife or whatever, you blame yourself. And sometimes the journey is really, it's their journey. It's not to invalidate anything. It's about giving yourself the permission to sit in your pain. Oh, I almost went New York for a minute. Stuff almost flew out my mouth. What? Excuse me. I'm that girl. You have
G-Man is
to.
from Brooklyn. I'm just gonna put that in there, okay?
So I have to watch my mouth. Excuse me. I still serve a God, but you know, God, everything in heaven and earth is yours, oh Lord, and this is your kingdom. So I'm gonna put that out there. But I'm gonna say this as a person, when you don't, you want to learn how to handle it, and people tell you do meditation, husa, and do this husa. But I'm gonna tell you about David. He wept. The 23rd Psalm we love to repeat. And when he wept, it was the tear cup. Because when you allow yourself to weep, you're able to get to the heart of your trauma, right? The heart of the place where you're allowed to repeat, to heal yourself. You can see yourself. Some things were your fault and some weren't. Your kid was a kid and you're sorry and your heart is broken. But after a point, people do what they've done, and you have to give yourself permission to move forward despite and in spite of your pain. And it doesn't stop you from loving them and understanding their trauma in a place that they're living a new normal without you,
Mhm.
because both sides are going through the grieving process. And it doesn't matter how many years they're in prison, because when you've loved someone, when whether they die or they're physically here, you're always going to miss them. So it's okay to weep. Don't let your friends and people say, girl, you should be over that now. They don't get permission to tell you what your heart feels because they didn't
Yes.
walk your journey.
Yes.
And that's where the struggle happens. Because until somebody walks this travail, have walked your trauma, I tell people about trauma. So we're talking to grief and trauma. You know, you can trip and fall, and somebody will be like, ah, and it's funny. I can trip and fall, and I go into full panic mode because that brought up stuff from my past, and it wasn't funny. It's the same for you. I don't get to tell you that. What you're walking right now, both of you as mothers, is probably it's something I don't know. But I can empathize and sympathize, and I don't get to tell you that it's not okay or that you should be done with it. As you sit in your trauma, because people don't know the trauma, as you live day by day, you worry about your child.
Mm.
I'm gonna
Yes.
tell you, we have this thing. I do a thing called, it's a process called eye movement desensitization reprocessing. Sounds all
Yes.
fancy. It's called EMDR. EMDR is work to help with trauma and as well as grief. And I want you to do something. We do something where they do eye movement with this,
Butterfly.
but there's the butterfly.
Butterfly hug.
It's
Yes.
when you're hugging yourself. Imagine hugging your child.
Mhm.
Imagine hugging your spouse. Imagine hugging your broken heart to heal and repair, to bring you to the core of where you live. It means that if you rock, I remember when I did EMDR for me, when I was rocking through my trauma, I was singing Home by Stephanie Mills. Because sometimes the trauma is for you to go back to source, for
Mhm.
you to heal yourself.
Mhm.
And in your healing, they get healing. We pray all the time. We talk about prayer, but you don't have a relationship with God. It's not about church, it's about relationship. I'm not preaching, I'm just saying.
Mhm.
And if you can't see him as somebody who cares for you, you can't believe that he will take care of your child because he hasn't taken care of you. You can't see him until you start healing yourself.
Mhm.
We say it. You guys are doing a great work in the community to do this,
Thank you. Thank you.
but help the people to sit in their pain. Because everybody, we're going to do this right now. We're going to do this. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go right now. Sometimes you got to be still.
Mhm.
Even if it's 10 years, sometimes you have to do the backstroke. It's like filing bankruptcy, right? You're allowed to clear every 7 years. Sit back. That's what we don't do in trauma, right? When trauma happens, we keep going at warp speed. We're doing a lot of activities so we don't think. We go from person to person, man to man, woman to woman, child to child, food to food, drug to drug, whatever the drug is. Your drug could be sex, it could be food, it could be alcohol, it could be substance. Everybody's new thing is weed, but they don't know that's causing depression as well. We run into all those things, and sometimes you have to sit so that you can see clearly. You have to acknowledge the pain. A lot of times you say you have acknowledged it, but we haven't because it's too hard, because we're sitting and blaming ourselves. And sometimes the work starts with self forgiveness.
Mhm.
Yes, it does.
That's so true, Jean Ann. Self-awareness, we have to be aware of what we're carrying. A lot of times you mention so many poignant things. And the first thing that you mention is one of my favorite verses, and especially in this season of life. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Everything in this earth is God's, not man. There's no other God before him. There's nobody that can do what he can do. Okay. That was the first thing. You mentioned so many important things. Self awareness. Be aware of your own emotions and your feelings. And that is so important, what you just said. And I think that hit Lee and I at the same time because, there's self blame there, there's guilt, there's shame. And those are all emotions that we're feeling. But guess what? Your loved one, more than likely, is feeling the same thing. So we need to be aware of our emotions first. And Lee, you know this as well as I do before we can turn and help them.
That's true.
That is so true. And you mentioned EMDR. I'm also certified EMDR. So we do the butterfly hug. And when we tap, we're releasing. We're releasing that trauma that's stored. You're helping to release it before you do the eye movements. And it is just breaking up some of those particles there and trying to bring them forward. And so we must sit there and love on ourselves. We've got to love us. And we've got to love God because God is going to get us through this journey. And you also said something about walking the trail. You don't know what it's like until you put those shoes on and join me on that journey. It
Oh,
is a true learning journey, but you're healing some things along that journey as well. You might have some baggage from yesteryear. But as you grieve this, you're grieving some other things that come into play. Remember, God wants us to live life and live it with abundance, live it to the fullest. But when
hmm.
you got all this trash and grief and all this stuff, you're holding on to unforgiveness, that is not going to help you live life to the fullest. So, Gina, and that was one thing that I just took away right away. And one of the first things you said, families are separated. That's the ploy with incarceration, is to separate the families. That's the first ploy of this model, to incarcerate the man, to separate the families. Think how much and what happens when the families are separated. The woman has to raise the children, or the man is raising the children. The woman could be in prison.
Right.
It's so much. Lee, would you like to comment on what she has said so far?
Um, the first thing that comes to me is what Jeanette said about you have to forgive yourself, and you have to. That butterfly lets me or reminds me of thinking about my journey, that I had to love myself or that I could love on others as I
Mhm.
started my journey. And I also think about the time when one of my friends, I was just having a meltdown, and I was just boo-hooing all over the place. And she said, go right ahead on, cry and get it
Mhm.
all out. Because once you get it out, then we still got some work that we got to do. Your child is in
Mhm.
a place that you don't want him to be, and we got to figure out how to deal with that. So I appreciate good friends that were there for me.
Mhm. Definitely. Definitely. You know, Lee was talking about some of her good friends. She couldn't understand when it happened to them, but once it
So
happened,
said, I that went on and stuff. And one of my friends said, what does it matter that you know all of the details and stuff? We need to get your child home, and we need to put that all behind. And I immediately threw that out the way because I really, I didn't care what he wanted. I wanted to move forward in the journey that I was on. And one other thing you said made me think of one other situation that I had. I had a girlfriend that did exactly what you said, you gotta, he's incarcerated and stuff, like made it like it was the worst thing in the world, and I just needed to just live life and forget about it and stuff. It damaged my friendship with her because
Mhm.
I didn't understand why she said those things to me. And it, so maybe you guys can give me some tips as to how I can mend that friendship, because it's not what it was, because of that she said as a result of my son being incarcerated and her hurtful things to me.
To
Wow.
everything, there's a time and season under heaven. That
Mhm.
part.
Okay,
Mhm.
right there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because everybody's not supposed to walk the walk with you.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, everything is for a time and season. I'm going to say this, and it may not be the platform, whatever, but it's all the same. I'm very open about myself. I love to drink. I love my wine. We all talking. I've been sober 3 years, and I'm going to tell you the difference that I've found in my sobriety. I ain't shame, because just like, because God stopped it when I said, okay, God, I'm gonna do what you want, do you, because God, you know who I am, and I stopped. And there were people who cannot be in relationship with me because I no longer drink. But I still drink. We drink every day. Lynn was drinking water. I'm drinking Coke. It doesn't matter. It's when you're down in the muck with them,
Yes.
they want to be with you. But as you start to repair and heal and grow, they can't travail with you. You understand?
Mhm.
Everybody's not for you. And when God has called you for a season, for such a time as this, you heard Linda begin before we came on. She said, "Yeah, Julianne, you licensed now for now, right?" Because I've always been like this. I was a banker for over 25 years. I came into this field, completed my degree in 2020. From start to finish was 40 years. Last name Moses. Can you imagine? So I was walking around my promised land. But it was not until right. You remember Moses' promised land was right there. And I say that to say, when it is time for you to embark on your work, no matter how old you are, no matter
Yeah.
what season it is, God will open doors, and they will just do, 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 do. But we didn't
Yes.
know that in our youth. And so when our
Yes.
friends talk to us, know you're walking into your promise
Mhm.
and into what you're called and ordained to do in the
Yes.
season by your naysayers.
Yes. Yes.
I thank
Yes.
you.
They really pushed you. Your naysayers are the ones that push you into that purpose.
And I
Your
thank
son's your son's your son's incarceration was not was also for your work, for that
Yeah.
they may know your Father who is in heaven. And it is to show you the spirit man, right? God taught us, and it's one of my favorite scriptures. I don't say it perfectly, but I love it when he says, you have to let go of your mother, father, sister, brother to follow him. And so sometimes he removes our children and things from our lives, not necessarily through incarceration, because our focus is so on them, on not on our growth and in him, right? We're made in his image and likeness. And so sometimes people can't get that, because the work that that person may have been incarcerated was part of the work for you to both together, because you may not see it in your time, but it's what you're setting a groundwork for the future.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Thank you for that. And that's what we always say, we're at this part in our lives, and God's purpose will still come to fruition. If you look at Abraham and Sarah, we always look at that, and it still came to fruition, and it changes your life. And that's what it does. It changes your life forever. So it is a journey. It's a journey. It's life's journey, and life is a journey. And we're on this journey together. And Lee, if you think about it, think about how this journey has really changed your life
Mhm.
and helped you through, and you're able to help others through it because you've been there. And that's what it's all about. He says, don't worry about, I got you. You worry about helping that one and doing this and that. And that's what's always important.
Mhm.
It's always important to do that.
The one thing I will encourage all of you, and even the ones who are in prison and they do the incarcerated ones, is get help.
Mhm.
Speak to someone. And I'm gonna say this as a therapist, because I say this to people, I'm not for everybody, because I'm a straight shooter, right? But everybody's not Linda's laughing because she is a straight shooter too.
Whew.
It is
Speak
what it
your
is.
truth, as Jean Ann always says. Speak your truth.
And I know that's right, Jeannie.
Yes, you have to. People want somebody that's going to be real with them. And many of my clients are like, oh my God, I love it because you're cut and dry. You speak your truth. I'm here to help you, not to sugarcoat and not to have a place for you to hide. This is come out wherever you are. Let's heal. Let's heal. And that's what it's all about. And Jean Ann, you laugh, but in a nutshell, we have words that we use to define the process.
The reason I laugh is that Lynn and I have known each other a lifetime. So since our children were little, and
Yes.
like little fellas, and we've always been this way. And which is so funny that we're in this field. So she did her other work and I did my other work. And I've always been this type of person, like what you see is what you get. Like if I'm mad at you here, we're not waiting until we get home. When you do the crime, you do the time, right? I'm a firm I don't care who it is. Why I'm laughing is she's always been the same, and I've always been the same. But everybody doesn't work for everybody, right? And so you find someone that works for you, because even if people say, well, you need to keep it out of your business, your stuff is in the street. Because let's be real, all I have to do is go to the clerk of the court and find out all your business. So what you hiding? Your secret is laid bare. So talk to someone to help you process this loss.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
really a loss.
it is. Yes, it is. It's real. It's real, Jean Ann. It's real.
and and the people in prison, they get it, right? They have it. And I'm gonna say, I know everybody doesn't believe in medication. I do. It's not for everything. You have to give the brain a rest, because sometimes these people have been incarcerated because they had mental illness, because they were living with depression for an extended period of time,
Yeah.
because they had ADHD and were on the autism spectrum, but nobody knew that. And
Yes.
so they didn't understand, or they were schizophrenic and it wasn't triggered because everybody's smoking weed and doing whatever, but it was triggered and no one took the time to see it. Let me say this: our country does not give us anything for free. The fact that marijuana is legalized, I want you all to understand there's a reason. And let's be clear that many of our men are in prison and they for marijuana, and they still have not been set free. Be clear. You need to understand the psychoses that have happened to your children.
Hmm.
You remember the children that were acting up at school and you said, yeah, but I didn't want to give them the medicine because it made them feel so bad because I didn't like how they looked, but you were cutting their tail anyway. So now you feel bad. but you don't need to because we didn't understand what we didn't understand. And our medication has changed. Find someone that looks like you, and I'm not ashamed to say it, to help understand your process so that you can get the help you need. Because, mom, you don't need to stay up all night not being able to sleep because then you're no good to your child.
Right.
Yes.
Mom, you don't need to be up worrying and mad at the job because you didn't rest or you're so depressed and you can't provide the money that you want to send to your child to sustain him. Get the help you need. I said, it's like, well, I don't take drugs. So when they had surgery, you're going to do it without medication, right? They're going to let you cut you without the meds? Well, no, that's different, is it? Our brain controls our body.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need help just for a minute. When you've been through this much trauma, yes, there's vitamins. I believe in it. I believe in doing holistics. I believe in all of it. Find someone that understands body, mind, and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself grace in this season. We do a lot of mindfulness and we do a lot of meditation as people of color or whatever. A lot of people don't like to do it. Like me, my mind is going 99 knots a minute, so I'm not going to do meditation. But I like this thing, and I want to do an exercise with you guys, if you would, for a minute. And it doesn't take that long. It's a thing where I want you to bring up something that you don't make it heavy that causes you some stress. Maybe somebody got on your nerve at Publix or something. I want you to close your eyes and think about it. Maybe about a level of a 3, 4. So I want you to imagine this situation, and I want you to give it. Lee, I'm going to do it with you. I want you to give it a size. If you were to give it a size, what size would you give it?
Grand. We talking about super size.
I don't want to. I said Lee, not Lynn.
Oh.
Are we doing a scale? Can I do 1 to 10?
Tell me, what size is it? Is it big, small, medium?
Big.
What is its shape? Close your eyes and imagine it.
I'm gonna say round.
Okay. Now I want you to imagine a rainbow, and I want you to give it a color.
Purple.
And now I want you to imagine, is it hot or cold?
Hot.
Okay. Now I want you to imagine the rainbow coming in and the light coming in through your head, and pick a color from the rainbow. Anything. Pick a color.
I'll go with lavender with my purple.
So lavender light is coming in through your head. It's streaming down your neck. It's going and surrounding this red circle. Did you say red?
Purple.
Purple. The circle is purple and it's lavender?
Oh, no.
So,
I didn't do a color with my circle. I'm going to
okay.
white to my circle.
White, you said?
White.
So imagine this white circle, is the light is surrounding it. It's coming down through. And what part of your body is it in?
Midsection.
In your tummy?
Yes.
Okay, so the light is coming in. It's flowing through this purple light, flowing around in through your body, surrounding this white round ball. It's going in it, through it, around it. The more you use it, the more you have to use. It's flowing down through your legs, into your feet. Remember, as you breathe in and breathe out, it's the more you have, the more you have to use. This big white circle, and the purple light is surrounding it, flowing through it, in it, around it. What is happening to this as you imagine this? What's happening to the circle?
It's the colors are coming together and the circle is disappearing, so to speak.
Okay, continue. Imagine the light surrounding. It's flowing in through your body. The more you have, the more you use, the more you have. It's an infinite stream surrounding this circle. This white circle, this purple light is flowing through your veins, through that tenseness in your shoulders, all the way down to your tummy, down your thighs, down your legs, The more you use, the more you have to use. And what's the circle look like?
It's just becoming smaller and smaller. Going,
And, okay.
not that
When
important.
you and now when you're ready, I'd like you to come back. How did that feel? And that's an exercise you can do. It's called light stream, and it's also part of the thing we do in EMDR to
Mhm.
reduce the trauma. Did you see that little thing became nothing?
Mhm.
It helps you to focus and to center. It helps
Mhm.
to reduce the anxiety. And in the
Yeah,
process, you're doing it all by yourself.
yeah. I saw it as a big thing, a big
Right.
circle. Got smaller and smaller, smaller as my colors came together, and the white with the uh, around my circle with the rainbow, it kind of blended in together and stuff, and it just kind of goes away. And in reality, it's not that important.
We magnify things and make it a catastrophe. And Jean Ann just brought it into minimizing it and bringing you back to a normalcy state, making that problem. You minimized it, right, Jean Ann?
You made it disappear. You reduced this tension and the stress. It didn't get rid of the trauma. But it actually did remove the trauma, right? Because it makes it less than.
Mhm.
That's the kind of work we do in EMDR. That's the kind of work therapy is. And that's something you can do anytime by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're able to just imagine the light, the infinite light surrounding whatever it is, it reduces the stress that's in your body. And you're able to focus. Because when you're caught up in the grief and the trauma, you become stuck. You ever notice when you're really in that place, your back hurt, your knees hurt,
Yeah,
your
become
neck hurt.
Mm-hmm.
everything hurts, and you become very tense, so it gets really.
Thank you, Jean Ann. That was powerful. That was really, really good. And that's something that people can take away. You know, you should always be able to take something away that will excite you about the next thing. So if Jean Ann excited you about that, sign up for therapy. Her number is right there on the screen. You know, these are things that why walk away or why walk around carrying all of that, all of that. And what happens is that it's an add on because you know you've been carrying some other stuff. So this is adding on to it and it becomes mountainous, catastrophic. It's infectious. And this is what happens. Crying is a cleansing. Look at David. David cried out to the Lord. He knew what he did, but he danced before the Lord. He cried out to him. He praised him. Start a praise party going on instead of a pity party.
Yeah,
Switch it, flip it, and see how life changes. Because you know what? Our loved ones, they can read our emotions, and we're not helping them. We have to keep them up. So when we keep them up, when we keep ourselves up, it lets them know, hey, you know what? We can keep feeding into them. Is it easy? No, I'm not going to tell you it's easy. It's hard. It's hard. I went to see my son last weekend. It was hard. When I leave there, I can be a little irritable. Then the flight was late. That made me more irritable. I came back and had a crack in my windshield, just one thing after another. But you know, the devil is busy. But you know what? I came home and the Bible says, in all things give thanks. So I gave thanks for
yep,
everything I went through. And this week it's better. Now I could have stayed in that funk all week long. But guess what would have happened? It would have hurt me more than helped me. I would have hurt my loved one more than helped my loved one. So these are the things that be aware, self aware, emotionally aware. What am I going through today? I'm feeling something. I'm feeling so. I need to get in touch with these emotions today. And Jean Ann, I'm a proponent for journaling. I don't know how you are with journaling, But I I believe in journaling those thoughts and emotions and looking for those triggers. There are always triggers that make you feel this way. And when you get in touch with those triggers, it can help you because the next time you can ward off some of those emotions. So great.
Married something, please. It's like
Yeah,
a prayer something. It
yeah.
says it shows in your face. It's something you said. You don't have to tell me how you live each day. You don't have to say if you work or play. A tired true barometer serves in the place. However you live, it shows in your face. The falseness, the deceit that you wear in your heart will not stay inside where it got its start. For sinew and blood is a thin veil of lace. However you live, it shows in your face.
Mm.
If you have battled and won in the game of life, if you feel you've conquered the sorrow and strife, if you've played the game square and you stand at first base, you don't have to tell it. It shows in your face. If your life's been unselfish, for others you give, and not what you get, but what you can give, and you live close to God in his infinite grace, you don't have to tell it. It shows in your face.
Amen. That's powerful. I love that. Please send me that, Jean.
Yeah.
That's powerful. You know how in the mornings, we command life every morning with each other. We share that. And that is important. Commanding life daily. We have to change every day to align with what that day has in store for us. God already knows, but we have to align our emotions and ourselves. If we bring in the same attitude from yesterday, it might not align with today. So we have to be constantly aware of our emotions and how they not just affect us, but can affect others. So, Jean, you are powerful. You are powerful. I thank God that I know you. I thank God that you have
Thank
been
you.
my friend for all of these years. And, we can talk about emotions together. I can come cry out to you when I feel bad, cry out to Lee when I feel bad. We cry to each other. And, these are the things that help a person. That support system is a real thing that everybody should need. So, this is what we do on here. We support those. This is a safe environment. I think that we're very transparent with what we have been through and
Yes,
what we're going through on this journey. We're learning too. We don't know the answers to everything.
that's right.
Because I'm gonna tell you, some days I say, Lord, why? Why? I'm gonna do it, but just give me the answer why later. I mean, these are the things, that I just sometimes, I've grown on this journey a whole lot. I've gotten wiser. And this is what it was meant to do. And I've gotten closer. That relationship is strong. And I thank him and
Yes.
it is powerful. So, Jean Ann, you have been just a wonderful presence this evening, and that song is written all over your face. You don't have to say a word. I do music therapy, so that always comes into play, Jean Ann. As soon as you said that's written all over your face, that's the music therapy came into play.
Can I say something to you?
Yeah.
And I really no disrespect. I don't want anybody to think I'm being shady or anything because I'm not. It says what the devil means for your harm, God means for your good.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you the growth that has happened to you this past 10 or so years is amazing.
Wow.
To see the shift that has happened, to see your relationship with God has changed tremendously,
Mhm.
to see you as a friend to have grown so tremendously. It's amazing what God will use to help us to grow, right? Your empathy is different. Your whole countenance is different. You're not the same person,
Wow.
you know? Um, I mean, certain things are the same because you slick at the mouth and all that, but that's the part that if you change, I'd be like, God, that ain't Lynn.
Lee
but
knows that now.
but it's not that. It's the God in you. It's really true. And I really want to commend you for all you've been through and to taking the ownership of the part you've played. Because I'm going to say this last piece too. There's a thing that we do, it's about resentment inventory. And it's something you may need to do, all of you parents and wives and so forth. The resentment inventory. I resent you so and so, because you can resent that kid. Because
Yeah.
I'm true.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Mine may not be incarcerated, but there are many I don't like. So I'm gonna keep it real because I'm her. I resent you, Jean Ann, because of you talk too much, you're out of order, you didn't listen, blah, 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 blah. It made me feel like a failure. It made me feel like I was not enough. But the part I played is that I didn't listen. The part I played was I was too prideful. The part I played was because I allowed you to behave in a way to make yourself small and not big. Because we can blame everybody, but no matter who you're mad at, and this is part of the trauma work. I'm not saying people didn't harm you as children. Please, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying things didn't happen to you, but I'm saying look at the part you have played in the journey. Because I think looking at the part you play helps you to forgive and move forward and takes away the angst and the anger toward the person who did the harm to you. It doesn't mean it goes away. It just means that you take your power back.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing about trauma and grief. At some point, parents, you've got to take your power back.
Right.
Because as much as you love your children and your spouse, some things happen to them, and sometimes it was their choice. This is not being unkind. Because I know many things I've done is through the grace of God. You know, back in the day, we didn't have TV and all this stuff and
Mm-mm.
cameras. We did a lot of things. Let's tell the truth and shame the devil.
Right.
Let's tell the truth and shame the devil. Right? You know them times you'll be running up, your friend come at the register and ring you through. We'd be in jail today.
That's true.
Everybody acting like they didn't do shit, but they, so sorry, but I'm sorry, Christian people, but it is what it is. People, you know what it is. We did. So
Yes.
that's where the forgiveness starts, because we judge others. Judge no man lest you be also
Right.
judged.
That's right.
Because
Judge.
when you look, I could look at me and I could tell you what this person did wrong, but how would I know what it looks like unless I walked it? Because sometimes we've done our own. So I apologize for slipping up, but I'm sorry.
It's all good. We're gonna close. I don't get the chats on here, but this is going to be live. It's going to be on our Facebook page. And Gina, we thank you. We would like for you to help us on this journey. Jeanette's husband is our treasurer, Gary Moses, who is very good in banking and has helped us out tremendously in this. We're growing. And we do have our golf classic coming up, our golf tournament, our first one. It's an annual tournament on November the 7th. That's after the election. And remember, we did give you some pointers um, on voting. There are some inmates that are allowed to vote. So make sure you get out there. Laws get changed when we vote. We are in the social justice movement, and it has to change. So again, we thank you for this evening, Gina, and you know you'll be back on with us.
Of course, thank
We
you.
thank you for being transparent. We thank you for being real, and we thank you for speaking your truth on here with us. I thank you for just for everything, for being that support system and that friend. Lee, you know I love you, Lee, because you know what? You took me in when there was no room at the inn that night. You called me and said, come to my house the next day. I came to your house. So I will never, ever forget that, not knowing her at all. But that was the Spirit of God
That's how
in.
it works.
So this is what we say, a support system. A support system. You need community. And that is what it's all about, to help raise. You can't look at this one and point fingers, because, as my father said, you never know when it's going to be on your doorstep next.
That's
That
right.
part.
So, again, we thank you. We will see you in 2 weeks. And our next guest, you don't want to miss, for what he did for that person on the inside. You don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss it. So again, Jean Ann, thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you for the mental health encouragement, the emotional awareness, the grief, the trauma, and the exercise you did with Lee. So thank you for bringing her back. Okay. But anyway, thank you all.
Oh
I
God, she's
enjoyed
so
this show.
silly.
Thank